Where did you spend most of your time on the ship?
Have room in back of ship. Workshop is there.
There's so much about this book that made me want to make it into a film. It's such an epic journey. It's a journey that you, only through the experience of this film, it's an experience you will never have, probably, unless with this book or with this film. I mean, the idea that you start on Earth and you go to another galaxy and you make friends with an alien and you save the world is just too fun to pass up. And on top of it, there just were so many incredible layers to it and just really hopeful. I mean, even though it is about the sun dying, it's hopeful in the sense that it supports this idea and believes in this idea that we're capable of anything, no matter how bleak it seems, that as long as you don't give up hope, that really anything is possible and miracles are possible.
Project Hail Mary is about an alien microbe that infests the sun, and it's making the sun get dimmer and dimmer because it's growing over more and more over the sun's surface area. And so humanity has to find a way to solve that problem or we're all going to die.
Ryland Grace is a microbiologist who was kicked out of academia and starts the film teaching 7th grade science. He is thrust into this insanely crazy, high-stakes situation and reacts in the way that a person who isn't, a Navy SEAL might react. A real person might react, like any of us, because we're all very regular, normal people.
Yeah.
He's super smart. He's super resourceful, but he isn't maybe the best at social skills or other things. So he has to learn and grow and figure out how to become a real hero.
Correct.
He's just exceptionally smart, but still very relatable. He reacts to everything, I think, as most of us would. He's not stoic in any way. He's not your typical hero in any way. He's not brave in any traditional sense. He doesn't have any illusions about being a hero, and he's quite fearful, and I think realistically fearful, and I think that makes him such a fun person to go on this extraordinary journey with, because he reacts to every terrifying thing with the same amount of horror that we might, but he somehow manages to not let his fear rule him, and he just keeps trying.
Rocky is an alien from a faraway galaxy. He has 5 legs, no face. He communicates in echolocation. He has a genius-level intellect. He is an inventor and an engineer. But I think on the inside, he's this genetic splice of a miserly old man, a very peppy Labrador, and a deeply anxious 14-year-old boy. So the fun of Rocky is playing all of those things, which I get to do every day, which is pretty crazy.
It was a really unique design idea for an alien.
And a lot of people would change some of those things to make their lives easier, but not us. We even added things to make it harder. But we really wanted to honor what was so inspiring about the book, which is how do you create a personality without a face and with a completely different language and space clothes.
We consulted with Andy Weir, the author of the book, a lot about the physiology of how he moves, like his sort of internal steam hydraulic system that he uses to move his muscles around, to make sure that we were doing it in a way that felt accurate to what was described in the book. We went back and forth and on making a design that would work as a performable creature by a team of puppeteers, as well as something that could have enough personality and range of motion to make you fall in love with the character. And we kept saying to people, like, Pixar made you feel sorry for a lamp, and it has no face, and it only has like 5 points of articulation.
Yeah, it's just this.
You can get empathy out of physical performance, and we were able to do that with James Ortiz, the lead puppeteer, and a team of what we call the Rocketeers.
More than half of the film, Rocky's in a scene with Ryan, and he has to have a full gamut of expression. And how do you do that on a character that doesn't have a face, has 5 legs, and is sort of the silhouette of some cryptid spider, right? And you kind of want to avoid all of that because the character on the page is this endearing friend, and we have to fall in love with him. And I think one of the things I learned on this is the fact that follow your instinct and trust and lean in, and the scene can work even better. So you end up kind of creating something that you would never have expected. And that's sort of been the theme of this whole project. It's never what you can possibly expect. And what you get is something more heartful, more emotional, more beautiful.
It became obvious that we were going to have to take some of the most sophisticated motors on the market. In fact, some of the motors that we're using in Rocky, we are the first people to use them. We were granted that with the company that produced them. So we had, in many ways, their beta versions. But Josh took that even further by dismantling what they had done and re-engineering it to suit his needs. And the net result was, I think, a phenomenon. I don't think we've ever built anything that is this sophisticated, has this ability to deliver a performance which matches the puppeteer's inputs.
I was alone on camera for many months. And so once we got to the Rocky portion of the story, I was like very relieved to start to have company and someone to work with. I have to say I'm so grateful to James Ortiz because no matter what was going wrong in that practical way, James was always there in my ear in an earwig, sort of as Rocky's voice. And when things were breaking down or not working, or I was in a harness and in a spacesuit for hours and waiting for something to be fixed or whatever it was, James and I would just talk. And so he really did become, that voice for me, like Rocky was for Grace.
Charlie Wood, who's our very distinguished production designer, threw himself into research. So much of what he did was look at what different space agencies build. The cockpit that he built is full of real avionics from spacecraft and from, like stealth jets and stuff like that. And so he brought a kind of, I don't know, I guess a heightened realism to all that stuff.
We had some real astronauts on set, and they came during one of the scenes that I'm referencing where I'm just kind of going tail over tea kettle, bumping into things, like just, it was very ridiculous, but it felt like it might be truthful, and I was a little bit cautious to see what they would think of it, and they were like, it's kind of what it's like.
I had a great opportunity of talking to a lot of astronauts, for instance, on this film. Never done that before. And they told me some extraordinary sort of experiences and very spiritual experiences of being in the ISS and what light is like. And there was this one astronaut I remember who said to me, and we were talking about lighting, he said to me, I asked him whether he suffered from insomnia on the ISS, and he said to me he didn't, because he really very rarely went to sleep. And I said, why? And he said, because everything outside was so beautiful.
What's really interesting about this movie is that we don't think of it as a sci-fi movie. We think of it as a human story, a story about a relationship, about a friendship. It is emotional, it's funny, it's dramatic, it's exciting.
It's stakesy.
Yeah.
Like literally, if he can't figure out Rocky's language, the entire Earth will perish. That's what I love about it. It's like one-on-one scenes with the highest possible stakes.
And I think people come out of the movie feeling like maybe nothing is impossible. And that's what's really great about it. You don't have to have read the book. You don't have to know anything about the movie. You can be thrown into this movie, and no matter who you are, you're going to find a way to connect to it. And it's a beautiful film. It's a funny film, and it's a real experience.
I do think, and this isn't shilling for IMAX, I do think that the size of this screen and the scope in which this film operates and the cinematography of Greg Fraser and the epicness of the journey and the fact that you go to another galaxy and you see other planets and you touch the stars. It does feel, it has been for me, I think a kind of transformative experience, and I believe it will be for others who see it. You can see the hands, right?